Hello, my friends. I am thrilled to bring you today's episode. It is a bonus episode where I get to speak to my friend and client, Michelle Capizzi, who's an abstract artist, a mother of three grown boys, and a wife. And I think what has been super special about working with her is that I helped her go from a place where she was waiting for kind of, I think, some right time to happen for her to get back to doing what she loves to do, which is to create and be in a studio. And once she got over the waiting and decided to bite the bullet, it's been amazing to watch her art develop, but also her business develop. In the next few minutes, we're going to talk about things like imposter syndrome and how she had to learn to trust herself. She also figured out that the business side of things, it really didn't need to look so perfect. She learned as well that it's hard to put a value on your work and try to figure out how to price things, right? A lot of my clients struggle with that no matter what they're selling, if it's a product or a service. And I think what really struck me in this conversation is how she invested in herself. And that meant a lot of things. That meant investing in coaching, investing in someone to help her figure out kind of the social media marketing piece, but also investing her time and energy in the process. Because what she was doing before, and I worked with her in that other business before, that's how we met. We didn't really love the process, but she is loving the process of both creating and building a business. So buckle up, sit down. She's pretty funny too, so you might laugh. And listen in to my conversation with abstract artist Michelle Capizzi.
You're listening to the Time to Level Up podcast. I'm your host, business life coach Andrea Liebross. I help women in business commit to their own growth personally and professionally. Each week, I'll bring you strategies to help you think clearly, gain confidence, make your time productive, turn every obstacle into an opportunity, and finally overcome the overwhelm so that you can make money and manage life. Let's create a plan so you have a profitable business, successful career, and best of all, live with unapologetic ambition. Are you ready to drop the drama and figure out the how in order to reach your goals? You're in the right place. It's time to level up. Let's do this. Hello, how are you today? I am more than excited to have this guest today. Little disclaimer, my guest and client today, she and I have known each other, I don't know, maybe seems like forever, but it hasn't been forever. Is it like 6 years, 5 years? I don't know, some sort of years that are more than 5 and less than 10. How's that? And I have had the pleasure and the honor of kind of watching her and guiding her and working with her as she has transformed and changed from, I'll let her explain, but lots has happened. So, which is all for the good. And I'm really happy to be able to share this story with you. So, Michelle Capizzi, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
Well, hello there. Yes, it has been like 5 or so years, but feels like forever. So I am an abstract artist, and I am a balancing artist between being a mom of 3 grown sons, being a wife, a community volunteer. I've had many different hats before I finally bit the bullet and decided I'm just gonna figure out how to follow my dream and make a little money and be happy doing it. And it's having fun, and having fun has made me so much happier, and I'm doing what I love. So that's, I guess, the easiest way to say it in short.
Okay. Yeah. Tell me what made you decide, okay, I'm going for it. I'm going to go back to my roots and tackle art?
Well, there are a few different things going on in my story. I went back to work later in life and did our previous job together. And during that, I learned a lot, but I also learned what I liked and what I didn't like. And I was just, I liked working with women and that was fun, but I didn't enjoy the process of it. And in the meantime, my sons were starting to all go on in their lives and do things. And as a parent, one of the things you tell your kids, well, at least I do every day, is do what you love. And I started really thinking about, how can I be telling my kids to do what they love? And I'm sitting there doing something I don't love. And my husband does what he loves, and he doesn't think of it as work. And as my boys got older and started thinking about their professions and what they were going to do and happiness, it really started to kind of nag at me. So I said to myself, I had been painting for years. I went to school, studied graphic design. I painted. I have this great painting studio at home. I had probably about 30 paintings rolled up sitting in a closet. And one day it just kind of hit me. I said, this is kind of stupid. And I'm not loving what I'm doing. I like it, but I don't love it. It doesn't bring me joy. So life is short. And it's kind of like that poem I've read recently about this isn't a dress rehearsal. You got one. And I kept telling my boys, I said, I'm going to do this. So I jumped in. I didn't know where it was going to be. I didn't know if people would like it, people would accept it. But I knew that if I didn't get it out, I'd have really big regrets. And it was time to just move on. So I jumped in and did it.
Do you think you were waiting for something to happen?
I think I just needed to start trusting myself and believe in myself. And there's something about, this kind of cliche, and people say, in your 40s and your 50s and you get it. But as your children, if you're someone who stayed home and you raised your kids and you kind of spent all this time around them all that time, you start to realize like life is short. I'm at my second chapter here and I want to make my second chapter about me, not about somebody else. So that was really what I think I needed to kind of get that clock. And then hits the pandemic and it kind of put it put the world on a little bit of a pause. But for me personally, it brought me this time to also say on top of it, if it's not now, when is it going to be? So you got to stay home. You got to do it anyways. Why not just stay in your art studio and paint and do this? And with the joy of social media and all these other things, you don't need galleries as much anymore. You don't need those other things. And there's ways to expand your business and expand your joy without having to count on other people.
What was the first thing you did?
Well, one of them was talk to my dear friend, Andrea, who was starting her wonderful business. And I saw her magic happening, and I said to myself, well, I need to first talk about a plan. And other than just painting, other than just rolling up those paintings and sticking them in my closet, I got to figure out how I'm going to do this thing. And yes, I wanted to, I guess my beginning thing was I wanted to make enough money to just pay for my paintings. So I started really small thinking, okay, if I can sell just a few of these paintings in my closet and my, rolled up, whatever, I can get enough money to pay for my next set of paintings. And that was all my mindset. And then I started.
You used to just say, all I want to do is pay for my art supplies.
That was like my big line. That's all I wanted to do. And then as I realized, I could do that. And people were liking them. People were buying them. And people were like, I wanted more. Like people wanted more. My confidence started to build. And then I started to work with you and build a map. And that map made me grow, but not only map of me figuring out what my next step will be, but me thinking I can think bigger. Because I used to think so small. I used to think just pay for the paintings, just sell what I have. Now I'm like doing commissions for people. I have a restaurant that just contacted me and I'm going to, be putting paintings all throughout the restaurant. I built a website, never in a million words. Yes, I was a graphic designer in my past life, but I haven't done any of this stuff. And I realized too, to invest in me. I haven't bought a piece of clothes, a new pair of shoes, anything in ages. Instead, I'm investing that money in myself, in my business, and it's a really good feeling. It's a nice feeling. I took my husband out to dinner the other night and I paid for it. Like, I know it sounds really tiny and really small, but I have a lot more joy in the money I have now than I did when I worked for somebody else. There's an ownership about it. There's a joy in it. It's kind of giggly.
It is a little giggly, isn't it?
Yeah.
I remember you resisted.
I'm a pretty flip, giggly person. So if I can find little giggles, I get a little excited.
That's true. So I remember you resisted that website for a while. And because I kept saying, I think
a long while
out there in the world, I think you need to put this out there in the world. No, you resisted. And then, I don't know, one day you're like, okay, I'm doing it. Okay. So you did it. You created this website.
I want to retract a second. Something funny when you were just saying that I find so ironic about that. One of my big blocks about doing the website was because I wanted it to be like amazing. And I thought it had to be like over the top arts, gallery, great. And it's funny, I'm an abstract artist. I am a messy, abstract, fly by my pants artist. But yet I felt like with my business in the beginning, it had to be everything, put each in a box and follow each step. And I think once I got past that roadblock or that thought in my mind that everything doesn't have to be this crowning gold moment. You have to live it and do it rather than just think too much about it.
Yeah, that's so true, right? It doesn't all have to be perfect, right? That's kind of interesting too. Like, what was
right.
the definition of making it perfect? You did have in your head that the website had to be masterful, because I think part of it is just because of your art background.
Right. Like I thought I would have like that imposter syndrome. Like, oh my God, who does she think she is?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm sure there's people who still look at it. And now I'm just kind of like, whatever. Yeah. Doing my thing, whatever. It's okay.
Whatever. So, all right. So talk to me a little bit about what other people think. How do you think about that statement now? Or how do you think about what other people are going to think now? Has it changed?
Yeah, it has. One is I have a very, very supportive husband, and I have some very, very supportive friends who pick me up those days. And I think everybody should have their few people who can pick them up, because no matter what we do, we all sometimes need somebody to say, it's all right. Forget it. Don't worry about it. Move on. That definitely helps. But I've just accepted that some people are going to love it. Some people think I'm crazy, but I've never really been when I was younger and before I had children and before I started to map out what I thought was my ideal life. I used to be the person who was really kind of the run by her seat of her pants, have fun, didn't worry about it too much. And I think it's all kind of come full circle now. Where I'm just I know that's what I think too. My head down to the pillow. If I'm a good person and I didn't hurt anybody, I didn't break anything major, I took good care of myself and those around me, I'm okay. It's gonna be okay. It's all right. Yeah, I've come to really do it. I will say that writing daily helps a lot. Some nice, there are some days where I have those down days and I just have to kind of hone in and acceptance. There's days where you just some days say, so I didn't pick up a paintbrush today and I didn't, but that's okay too. And acceptance is self-acceptance is a big thing about that before you can start worrying about other people. And I've done a lot of that. And I think that helps a lot.
Self-acceptance, right? Absolutely. I do see this as kind of full circle. A lot of the women I coach, we don't really care what other people think when we're younger. Then we go through this phase where we do care. Then you kind of come out on the other side and you're like, whatever, I'm just going to do this.
Yeah, I did an interesting piece over the winter during the Black Lives Matter things going on with George Floyd and other things. And I really resisted getting on camera. I resisted, it being in front of people. And I remember where there was an incident in Buffalo, New York, which is where I live. And it was really disturbing to me. I mean, I just woke up like angry and mad. And all winter, I wear a beanie and I live in my beanie. I don't have my beanie on today, which is pretty odd. But anyway, so I woke up in the morning, no coffee, no makeup, my pajamas on. I clicked on my video for the first time ever. And I did this like live thing with my coffee and talked and decided to do this painting. And I thought, and it was like, and literally I said out loud, if you don't like me, you don't like me. You don't like what's going on, move on. But here's what I think, and here's going to be. That moment for me, I thought to myself, was really kind of freeing because I actually said what I thought and I just didn't care what anyone thought because I knew deep down in my heart and in my belly, it was the right thing to do in the right moment. And that was kind of a really freeing moment to just say, okay. And few people stopped following me, but also a lot of people were like, good for you for just doing it and saying it and not caring and not putting on makeup and not worrying about it. And I think you had paint in your hair. You might have had chocolate still in your, cheek from the night before and something else and doing it. And it was just about standing up and thinking for how I really felt. And there's something really good about when you just get it out. And sometimes you just rip off that Band-Aid and you just be yourself.
Yes. So you know what I thought about when you said that is, especially in 2020, whatever anyone had planned out, quote unquote, their plan, probably at the end, the plan was derailed. They may have gotten to the same place, but they didn't follow the plan, right? So as you've kind of evolved over the past year, something like that occurred, but have you felt like you've followed a specific plan or has it evolved and what's made it evolve? Because I know in the beginning, you're like, okay, I need to know what I'm doing. I need to know what I'm doing. I need to know what I'm doing. So you did know what you're doing, but does it look now like you thought it was going to look then?
It looks better.
It looks
better. And I think part of it, why it looks better is because I do like to follow the rules, but I also like to make my own. And I think I started to, I know I started to kind of go by my own rules and my own path and my own way.
Yes.
And get creative with it. Stop being this like worry about it when you're a creative person. I mean, I was literally, galleries were closed. I thought maybe I would do some kind of pop-up art show. And instead, there it was hanging a clothesline in the middle of my outdoor space with a mask and a beanie and telling people, come on over. I've got 5 painting hanging. You want to check them out? There they are. And I just started to trust myself and make the best with what I had. And that plan has worked. And I've changed it and I've worked with it and I've tweaked it. And I've learned that you gotta kind of go with the flow and do the thing. I also I've been thinking a lot, you start to think a lot about different things. And when I paint, I thought when I went to college, not only did I want to be an artist, but I also wanted to be a dancer. And I have this thing about like movement and thinking and changing. And so there's that. I know you didn't know this little part.
I didn't know that. I mean, I know you like to dance, but I didn't know you wanted to be a dancer. That's crazy.
Oh, I thought I was going to be the next, like go to Martha Graham studio. And I was modern art dancer and I wanted to do all these things. But I think there's a lot about that body and motion and trusting yourself, that when you trust your body and your movement and your mind with it, it all just kind of goes together. So there's a lot of just, again, back to your trust in yourself, and it makes a difference. That then any plan will work. Pivot. Yeah.
Totally true. Okay. So tell me, because this is something that a lot of my clients struggle with, no matter what their profession is, okay, or what, so you're creating art. So we got the creation of art on one hand, but then we have the business on the other, right? So there is a business piece to this. How do you balance both? How did you think about that in the beginning? Were you focusing more on the art? When did it dawn on you that you have to create a business out of this? I don't know. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah. That for someone creative is a tough number. That is like, God. Well, first of all, when I went back and I started doing my website and I was sitting there for days at the computer I started to kind of lose my marbles a little bit because I'm like, it brought back all my flash of when I was like an art director and I would sit at a computer for days on end. And I was like, oh, I don't like this ugliness. I got to get out of this. But I knew I had to push through it. So then I got that done and I was like, okay. And then I would paint and then I would sell stuff. And then I realized I needed to learn more about what I was doing. So not only did I have a business coach, but then I invested in getting someone who could help me work on not really a marketing plan, but how to market myself more and learn more tools to help myself and to make it easier for myself. I think that's one thing, a misnomer. People think when you get out and go and get help, like, well, yeah, you're going to get this, but what are you doing with it? In the long run, it's that investment to make yourself easier so you can enjoy and do what you want. So when you have to sit down and do paperwork, or you have to sit down and do social media or do a business plan or do different things, the simpler you can make it, the more you're going to enjoy it. Maybe it's 2 mornings a week. I sit and I get that paperwork done. The hardest part for me right now, one of my bigger struggles is writing quotes for people when I'm doing commissions and sitting down and not second guessing my value and my time, but it's getting better. It's still a little bit of a challenge, and some people have accepted it, some people haven't. So but that will come in time, feeling better and more confidence with it. And it's just like the first time I put something in a gallery for a gallery show and they didn't accept it. And I went, okay, whatever. I was sad and I was upset, but then I got over it. And I guess it will be the same with when I put some quotes out there and people like it or they don't. But at the end of the day, I can't slash everything. When I go to the store to buy gas, they don't say, oh, you can't pay $2.39. Okay, you can pay, 30 cents a gallon. No,
Yes.
This is I only have one creative brain and I only have 2 hands. And this is me. There's other artists, there's other things. So I have to really, that's come a lot from journaling and a lot from walking. And when and thinking about, this is it. This is how I am doing my plan and my excitement and my time. And sometimes commissions take a full month. Yes, I do other little paintings in between, but a full month is kind of in that. So to go back to the balance of it, timing, I try to really give myself at least 2 mornings a week to do business work. And that's a challenge for me because I got to sit down and really.
It's a challenge for everybody. I mean, I'd rather be coaching and talking to you than in QuickBooks, right? So I think it's a challenge for everybody. Yeah. The other thing that's interesting about what you said is that I think especially as women, we have a really hard time putting a price tag on our value, no matter what it is, whether it's art or the woman I talked to before you this morning, she provides therapy and family coaching services to her clients who have a loved one with dementia. Like, how do you put a price tag on that, right? So we have a really hard time doing that. And I think until our self-concept changes and our mindset changes and we recognize within ourselves the value we do have, you continue to kind of struggle with it. And it's never solved, but it is hard. I mean, I know you and I had a conversation and going back to paying for art supplies, and you're like, well, to create this piece, it's going to cost me about this in supplies. And then maybe it's going to take me this much time. And then I remember being like, but wait. Not just anyone can do this. Like, I could not create this, even if I had the supplies and the time. Like, there's zero way. So there's a value in what's in our brains and in our experience and all of that we have. That's the hard part. It's not about the tangible things. And a lot of us, we don't get really paid by the hour, right? It's you're paid by what you're creating. So that's hard, not just for you, but for most.
Yeah. And I've learned patience is not my strong point, but I'm trying very hard. And, one of it, I haven't even told you this the other day, when I did my website and I put my pieces out, there was one piece that I put out and it's probably my highest price piece. And I got a call and it's been on my website since October when I launched it. And I kept thinking, everybody loves this piece. I mean, I've had more people say to me, Michelle, that is like my favorite piece, but it's also my highest price point. It's a really large piece. It has some great, lots of detail, lots of fun, lots of energy, but it's a big piece. So I thought, okay, maybe I don't know if anyone will buy this because it's such a big piece. And also it's my highest price point piece. Well, I got an email the other day and I'm working with a collector from Texas and they want to know, like, how can I get it? But it was that patience. So there's a little bit about, there's that end of it of put it out there and be patient with it. And then there's the other element of this summer, I realized too, I have a lot of friends, or not friends, but people I know, or people have said to me, you know what? Like I had a 20-some-year-old girl say to me, I would love a piece of your art. Now the girl's, just getting started. She's like my son's ages, and I know what they make and how they live, and they don't have much. So I started to make some smaller pieces also. And that's something that I think we all, have to sometimes, that's part of the business mind, and also the mind of saying, how can I make my art more accessible for everyone in different ways? And I've had to pivot business and mindset ways too. So I can still have those bigger pieces and sitting there, do the commissions, and then have littler pieces that are accessible. And who knows, maybe that 20-something will buy something now at that smaller price point, but then later, whatever.
Yeah.
But I also feel it's not always about that. It's more about me I have this little thing about, when I send artwork to anybody, I have a little tagline I write in it. It says, art brings energy and conversation. Enjoy. And that's my tagline I give every single person, because I feel like I remember when I was young and started collecting art, and I have lots of art in my home that is from many other artists in many different price points. I want that same energy and joy for everybody, whether it's a 20-something just getting going, or it's some big art collector or somebody who wants it in their business or home or forever, because it should be accessible for everybody. So that is kind of in my mindset. I have to always kind of think, yes, I want that, but there's other ways that everybody can have that. And that's really important for me to share.
I love that. What tangible results have you, if you look back, let's say January of 2020 till now, and so in the past yearish, how many, you had 30 pieces in your closet rolled up. Where are we now? Are there 30 pieces rolled up in the closet?
No, there's probably no, because I've sold a lot of those and I've got some new. I would say I've probably sold about of my previous inventory that's sitting there and not getting dust. I've probably sold about 3/4 of that inventory. And I never thought, like, this whole commission, how fun making paintings for people. It's like I'm traveling the world, even though I'm not in the middle of a pandemic, because when I get involved in something, my head has to go there. And I started with one commission. I'm now booked probably almost till spring and into summer with commissions, which is unbelievable for me to think that I would do that. I just talked to a restaurant that's going to need a full set of paintings. We're going to probably put up some of my inventory and then move out into more of what they need specifically as I do it for them. And I've sold a lot of paintings just because of social media before they even hit my website, which has been kind of fun too. Like, because I publish what I'm doing and someone's like, hey, can I have a piece of that? Or I want that, or how do I do that? So going from selling nothing at this time last year, all this has really happened since October. It's really fun. And I've started to think now about ways like, what are other little ways I can imprint and do things, and thinking bigger, where I never used to think bigger. I'm actually thinking bigger. And when I say bigger, I mean bigger in the sense of not money, but bigger in the sense that where else can I apply my ideas and my energy and share it? If that, and to me,
totally makes sense.
That's really where I want to go with that. Yeah.
Love it. So what advice would you give someone, a woman who wants to start doing something that she knows she loves, but hasn't really put her heart and soul into in a while? What should she do?
start small and just have fun with it, but silence the noise. Silence the noise of everybody around you and listen to that little person inside you talking and saying, have fun. Go back to that time where you just enjoyed what you did and do it, and it will grow. And then when it grows, you'll start to have more confidence. And don't shoot for perfection, shoot for happiness. Shoot for 5 minutes of happiness a day, an hour a week. Just give it a little. Just give it a little. And once you start to enjoy it again and find that magic inside you and that glimmer and that fun, it'll all kind of start to roll out and work it. But then once you start to do it and you think about it, invest in yourself to figure out how you're going to make it work. Invest in yourself mentally and financially. Yeah.
Yeah. Because how do you quiet those little voices, right? It's really hard sometimes to do it on your own. Yeah.
Nothing like, I'm all about a little dancing barefoot and a glass of tequila. I can sound just about anything with that. It's the truth. Put on a beanie, pour a little tequila and start dancing barefoot and everything goes away. What can I say?
It does. All right. So let's wrap up. I always I've been asking all of the people I've been speaking, all my clients that I've been speaking to, what's one little, I call it Andreaism, that sticks out in your head? What's something that, what might I say to you? It's your favorite.
What are you waiting for, Capizzi? What are you waiting for, Capizzi? Just do it.
Do it. Just do it. There's no magic fairy dust.
There's no magic dust. You have had, I remember, I'm going to regress a little bit, but Andrea and I used to sit on these, they were painful. They were painful calls, and we'd sit in a group, and usually her and I were the only two talking because nobody else would. And we'd say what we think, and we'd give these big ideas, and everyone would kind of hush them. And one day Andrea just said, listen, people, there is no magic dust. Just get over yourself, and there's no magic dust. And, there's not there aren't all rainbows and unicorns in this world. There's, there are at times, but not every day. And you got to just go with it. You got to go with it and laugh as you go, or what good is it?
Yeah. If we are not having fun while we are doing this, it is not worth it. It is not.
Laughter is important. Yes.
This has been so fun to talk about this because it doesn't happen often. Actually, this is just in general, everybody, we don't reflect enough on what we've done at all. We just don't. We're always future thinking, which I'm a big proponent of, but sometimes you've got to pause and think about, okay, where have I come from? What have I done? So this has been super fun. So thank you.
Thank you.
Where can people find you? We didn't even talk about that. We talked about your website, but where is it?
Oh, absolutely. www.michellekapizzi.com. 2 L's in Michelle, 1 P, 2 Z's. And also too on Instagram, you can find me, Michelle Capizzi. Very simple like that. And it's there. All my art is there. And I'm happy to do commissions, and I ship worldwide.
Look at
that. Come check it out. Come have fun. Let me know what you think.
If anyone needs a spelling refresher on that, you can go to the show notes and click and follow Michelle on Instagram. She has really good stories that make me want to be an artist. Not really. I think I'm going to keep her being the artist. I'll be the coach, but it's inspiring. All right.
You got to get some Andrea Liebross art in that office. Yeah. I got to work on that. We got to work on getting you.
We're going to work on getting rid of those painting, those.
We got to work on that. You need a little joy.
I do.
So I hope you enjoyed that conversation. I just want to remind you that there is no magic fairy dust, right? We had a little joke about it, but it really is true. And I think we all wish there was some magic fairy dust, but there isn't. So the only thing that's going to create commitment as well as change in your world is you. You have to do it. We can't sprinkle any magic fairy dust. I invite you to join me in March, both for my free masterclass on March 3rd and 4th, and then for Committed to Growth, my group coaching program. You can find out more about both of those when you visit my website, www.andrealiebross.com. I hope to see you soon. Have a great day.
Who's your coach? I would be honored to be your coach for a day or even more. If you want to stop feeling overwhelmed and are ready to commit to growing your business, your career, or yourself, join me on March 3rd or 4th for my free masterclass, How to Overcome Overwhelm and Commit to Growth in 3 Simple Steps. Head over to register for this free class at www.andrealiebross.com/March-masterclass. And while you're there, check out the Committed to Growth group coaching program, where we take all of this learning from the podcast and 10x it so that you can learn to commit to your growth forever and eliminate all of the wavering, the wishy-washy, the little quits, and the figuring it out. We start the next cohort of Committed to Growth on March 18th, but enrollment is open now, so you want to reserve your spot. If you want to talk more about it, book your consult call as part of the enrollment process, and we will figure out if this is a good fit for you. AndreaLiebross.com/group-coaching to find out more. See you in March.